A lot of these things can and will kill you, but do you know what won't? That's right, liking and subscribing, plus you'll have new content every day. I ask Reddit what seems harmless but can be seriously life-threatening. By Sly Fox Couple. Island Beach. There are a lot in Hawaii that are a lot more dangerous than tourists realize. Islands are on the edge of the vast ocean and can sweep people in. My husband, who has had too many near-death experiences, was out a bit at the popular tourist attraction Hanorma Bay with his uncle, and we couldn't find him for a while. It was right as the tide was going down and he had to avoid both the coral and being pulled out. He was lucky to have made it back. I don't think I or he even truly understood the severity of the situation until a few years later when we actually lived in Hawaii and weren't dumb college students anymore. He'll tell this story again. I went to same beach in Hawaii as I had been my whole life and swam out in the ocean for a bit. I'm a strong swimmer and never had any problems. But that one day I caught in a rip and got hauled out really far. Fight or flight kicked in and I tried to swim in the rip despite knowing not to do it. I became exhausted and knew if I didn't stop and slowly go parallel to the beach I was going to drown. I finally got out of the rip and had to lie on my back for a bit to regain my strength before swimming back in. It was terrifying. I swam all the time. I was an experienced swimmer. But all it took was getting in that situation for all rational thought to disappear. Had a chipped tooth a couple years ago that turned into an infected tooth and an abscess grew. Wasn't able to see a dentist until after the weekend due to holiday and other factors. Woke up one morning and it looked like I got my ass kicked. Completely swollen face. That was incredibly painful. If you use your tongue and feel above your tooth, you feel your gums going straight up in line with your tooth shape. Once you hit my gums where it met the tooth, it went straight out sideways about an inch or so. The most painful experience I've ever had in my life. Had to wait 2 days to see a dentist, and I fully understood in that time why Tom Hanks uses the ice skate in Castaway to knock out his tooth. I would have accepted death at the time just to make it stop. When I went to the dentist, they almost sent me straight to the ER, but decided to drain it there. When they gave me a Novocaine shot, a big stream of pus shot out of my mouth at the dentist. The most vile thing I've ever tasted and smelled. After calling for goggles and assistance, they successfully drained it. Family was told to check me every half hour throughout the night, and if any swelling at all occurred, to wake me up and go immediately to the ER. Honestly, was traumatizing on some level, and would not wish it on my worst enemy. Sad face. Springs in double pane windows. The windows are heavier than you think, so the springs are pretty strong. A friend that works as a maintenance guy at an apartment complex posted a pic of one of the balances, as they're called, that came loose and went completely through the motorcycle helmet he wears when replacing them. It still cracked his skull, and the doc said if he wasn't wearing the helmet he would have definitely died. Scary to think something as simple as a window can kill you. We all know garage springs are dangerous, but so are window springs. Saving someone with a Heimlich grip. You can definitely rupture someone's organs with this move, and people have died as a result of being saved by this procedure. Always send someone to the hospital after doing this, as the victim might otherwise bleed to death in their sleep that night. Carbon monoxide. Since you can't smell or taste it, you won't know it's there. CO terrifies me. We have like 6 detectives in our house. My mom went to high school with this kid who lost his entire family to CO a few years after graduation. He and his wife had a new baby. They were at his parents' house for the holidays around Christmas. All of his extended family was there. Their baby was having trouble breathing, so he and his wife took the baby to the ER. By the time they got back, everyone else was dead of carbon monoxide poisoning. He lost his whole family. Local codes only require 1 CO detector in the whole house. We've got them outside all the bedrooms, by the furnace room, by the dryer, etc. I don't mess around with that stuff. For a serious and somewhat generic answer, probably not getting enough sleep or not drinking enough water. I am guilty of both of these things, but it can really make you feel like utter shit and lead to serious health complications. This and stress. Lack of sleep combined with a toxic draining relationship over a long time can not only fuck you up mentally. For me, it made my immune system bad as shit, basically being ill all the time, and every cold getting quite severe could only lay in bed. Once my ex called an ambulance cause I was coughing like crazy and had bad trouble breathing. Was still just a cold bronchitis. I hear you on this one. I was in a toxic work environment for a year, trying to please a boss who was emotionally unstable. I had stomach ulcers, depression, anxiety, couldn't sleep well, couldn't enjoy time with my family. As with other people this person managed, she decided I was the problem and fired me. Probably the best thing that could happen considering I got a severance. Electric. Whoever wired my back porch on my house switched the neutral instead of the hot, meaning the hot was always hot. I had a cheap Harbor Freight water pump I used to pump water out of an old well to water my garden. One day I went to pick it up to move it. It had shorted itself to the metal frame. Picked it up, and even though the electric to it was switched off, it was live. My hand gripped down tight. I screamed and threw it over my head, and luckily that was enough force to get it out of my hand. Had I picked it up with both hands, I very well could be dead. That, and once you get shocked, you could have heart arrhythmia, which could cause a heart attack later on. Mixing household cleaning products. Bleach and ammonia can be deadly. When combined, these release toxic chloramine gas. Exposure to chloramine gas can cause irritation to your eyes, nose, throat, and lungs. I used to work for a dog shelter, quit due to poor management, and they would bleach everything. I just went along with it when I first started, but then it seemed like every time I worked, myself and my coworkers would get headaches. Turned out the manager was putting bleach and ammonia in the sink where the dog's bowls would go, because the ammonia will break down the ammonia from the dog pee and the bleach will disinfect. I literally walked up to the front of the store, the shelter was inside a gardening store, and told the store workers to get everyone out. My manager was pissed but couldn't fire me BC we were short-staffed. I ended up quitting BC she was withholding checks. Edit. Moral of the story: never underestimate someone's stupidity. MRSA. It is a deadly blood infection. I was on an airplane that was on a tarmac for 6 hours. Someone on that plane had MRSA and gave it to me. It entered my body in a tiny cut in my cuticle. A day after the flight, my finger had a yellow sore spot near the cut. Another day later, my finger hurt. Another day later, my hand hurt. Another day later, I tried to go to sleep, but I was in so much horrible pain. The pain in my arm was up to my shoulder. I went to the emergency room. They had to put me on antibiotic drips for a day. They said if I had gone to sleep that night before coming to the hospital, the MRSA would have probably gone into my body cavity and I would have had a 50-50 chance of surviving. I was going septic. So needless to say, now I'm terrified to touch stuff. I wear gloves a lot, touch things like doorknobs with paper towels. I wash my hands constantly. I hate airplanes and consider them dangerous germ pits. On that, I think we'll end here. Remember to clean yourself and your home surroundings. MRSA can and will kill you. If you liked this video and want to see more, take a look at my channel. There's a few more just like it, and if you want, please like and subscribe.